Hi, this is Lawrence from financialthing.com, and I'm here today with Mike Bristow. He is with CrowdProperty. He is the CEO. Tell me, what is the single biggest challenge that CrowdProperty is facing currently?
So we work very hard on building that developer brand. Very, very hard, and we have a load of strategies to help us do that. And our word is still getting out into the developer market, that actually maybe speak to your broker and speak to CrowdProperty directly, and we will win more and more of the high quality business that we expect as we grow that brand. And then I think there's also the factor around uncertainties in the market. I think this is a structural sector thing rather than necessarily a CrowdProperty thing. And I think you've always got to be cautious of the macro environment. And therefore you've got to look to the fundamentals of those lending businesses, with first charge security cover in terms of loan to values, loan to GDVs, in terms of, that deep expertise, etc. So I think, this environment will mean that people and lenders in particular will more, in a more pointed way than ever, look for quality of platform, quality of security, security cover, etc. And those are important factors, and I think that's the thing to push for. Look for that transparency, look for the operating best practice, look for the expertise and rigor, and those are the platforms where the cream will rise.
So I'm going to ask you to look into your crystal ball. A lot of people in peer-to-peer are worried about Brexit. I get a lot of emails saying, should we sit out? What should we do? What's going to happen to the loan market if there's an economic issue with the Brexit situation? What are your views on how lenders should look at Brexit and proceed forward?
So I'll make that a bit relevant to CrowdProperty. So our market is SME property professionals. And if we step right back, as a country, we need to build 300,000 homes a year. We haven't been anywhere near that for decades. 165,000 a year last year. So there's fundamental undersupply, domestic demand of housing. Okay, so that provides some economic sort of underpinning. At the end of the day, property cycles are cycles, but there is economic underpinning there, and we're focusing on serving domestic demand, nothing related to, for example, prime central London and the the balance of foreign buyers, and FX rate, and etc. And confidence in the UK economy. It's domestic demand, and then also those SME developers. It's really interesting because if they need to build more to close that gap, also the makeup of that, big sites are being built out by big owners. So smaller sites are becoming more and more important to delivering that supply, and SME property developers are the people that are developing those smaller sites. So we need to build more, and SMEs need to deliver more proportionally. It's a big growth market that to serve that demand. So that will always be there. There is uncertainty at the moment, no doubt, and that's also why we're first charge secured. We're at modest LTV, LTGDV rates, and we just get tighter and tighter on our criteria. We are a prudent lender that focuses on the true definition of lending, which is you're only a lender if you get the money back. Otherwise, you're a charity without a cause.
What are your views about the FCA trying to suggest that some kind of percentage maximum that an investor should be putting into peer-to-peer lending? I believe the number is 10%. Is there even a way to implement something like that?
I mean, it is. It's been clearly stated that it is a self-declared that you're aligning to it.
It's a recommendation.
Exactly. And look, I think that's sensible. Any investing practice suggests diversification. So diversification across every class, and within within peer-to-peer lending across platforms and on platforms across different nodes. That makes sense to keep that in mind. So also to keep it in mind versus other asset classes. So, and look, I think it's prudent. I think it's sensible. I think it's a good guideline. I think everything that the FCA have come out with following their consultation findings will help guide people better. I would personally like to see more stipulation around transparency, data points, and consistency on that level, and third-party independent validation as well, because they're all the points that we align to that are very, very important to the sector, that sometimes are too opaque.
One last question for you. There's a lot of companies that are doing property asset-backed loans. It's just a time for you to plug CrowdProperty for people that are sort of considering dipping their toe into this type of lending. Why should they come to you versus the other companies that are out there?
Sure. I mean, first and foremost, as I mentioned, it's deep asset class expertise. We have been SME investors and developers for decades and decades. We know what the risks are when you put the spade in the ground. We've been through all of that ourselves. And we really, really understand that. So we have that unique model where we're going direct to developer and building that very strong relationship that gives us insight into better underwriting. And we have this absolute focus, which again, the Tiger Woods quote, it's focus, become world class at something. Don't do a load of things in an average way. Become world class, and that's what we're working at. And we've got so much data in our business now, so much learning over 5+ years, a perfect track record. But having been through those recovery processes, and every loan faces challenges. By definition. But we know all of those challenges. We know how to solve them, and we're cracking them with those borrowers on our lenders' behalf. That attitude to lending, not that we're a tech platform matching supply and demand of capital. We're an asset specialist lender, that has a distribution channel of capital through peer-to-peer, because we believe in opening up that space, that democratization of investment, and solving pains on that side of the marketplace as well as the borrower side of the marketplace. We were elected to the board of the Peer-to-Peer Finance Association by the incumbent members, where you need to demonstrate absolute alignment to operating best practices that they stipulate. We open up, as I mentioned, to Brismo for independent accountability. We're incredibly transparent about all the data. We'll make that clear to you. We have plenty of people on hand to answer your questions. And look, we're doing this properly. We're building a really, really strong long-term business. 10, 20, 30 years is how we think about building this business. And those things come together and just demonstrate our commitment to this market. So we welcome you getting to know us and hearing more about us.
And as always, so if you have any questions, they can feel free to call or email.
Yes, both our number and email addresses on the website crowdproperty.com. Do have a peruse of it. We're on our blog also. We're currently launching these 40 articles into alternative finance, peer-to-peer lending, and CrowdProperty that really sort of opens up about both the lender side, the borrower side, and the platform element of the business. So we're very proud of taking that time to help give insight into the market and also into CrowdProperty. So do check that out as well, please.
Okay, so there you have it. I will leave a link in the description below if you want to take a look at CrowdProperty and try some investing through there. And Mike, thank you very much for your time. It's been a very interesting talk, and I like the fact of this transparency, that you really want to give lenders and you really care about their money, and you take that responsibility very highly in your endeavors. So thanks again, and we'll catch up next time I'm in London, hopefully, and get an update to where you are.
That's great. Pleasure. Thank you.